Hi, my name is Kristin. This is Kristin Kraves Books. So I'm here with a book haul that I've been meaning to do. I haven't done one since June, but I actually don't have too much in front of me. I've been away for the summer, so I didn't buy too many books. But there are some I want to share with you, and there are different categories. So I have some from the publisher, some that I have bought or been gifted by family that I have read, some that I haven't, a few classics, and then I actually have a couple puzzles that I want to share with you. So let's just get right to this haul. So this first book was actually from my Once Upon a Book Club book box. I am a VIP. I do have a code. It's Kraves 10, Kraves with a K. And the book was If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. Julie Murphy wrote the Dumpling series, which is one of my favorite YA series. Pumpkin, the third book, is one of my favorite books ever. It's so sweet. And this is her first adult novel. And it is a mix between a modern day Cinderella, if you can't tell by the title, and The Bachelor. So we're following Cindy, who becomes a contestant on a show much like The Bachelor, and she thinks that it's going to help her career as a shoe designer, but she quickly has feelings for the male suitor, and it's really a sweet story about her more than the romance, and I loved it. If you need something to break you out of the slump, I highly recommend this one. And it is the first book in the Meant to Be series, and the second book, I think it's called By the Book, but it's going to be by Jasmine Guillory, who wrote the Wedding Date series, and that is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So I love the idea that we're going to have a series that are all different Disney retellings, all written by different authors. This is the first one, so I highly recommend you check this one out. Next is one that I know a lot of people have their eye on, and that is Dark Rise by C.S. Paquette, and I actually attended a virtual event for HTC Frenzy back in August, and we were all given 2 e-arcs and 1 physical arc. So this is the physical arc I received, and I also got White Smoke on e-arc, which I was so thrilled about. My most anticipated book of the year, and I loved it. And I got Keeper of the Night, which I really want to read, and I also have the ALC of, so I need to get to that one soon. But whenever I show somebody that I got Dark Rise, they get so excited, which makes me excited because I never read Captive Prince by this author, but I've heard some mixed things, but I know a lot of people love that series. So I'm intrigued by this one. I think it's completely different. I know that it has that classic conversation of the fight between light and dark, so I'm curious to see what this author does with it. But honestly, I don't know too much about this one, and I know a lot of people are envious that I have the arc, so I better read it. One of the first arcs that I ever received was The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. That was way back in the day. It was at 2018, just after I started my book blog. So to get a finished copy from St. Martin Press of Heather Morris's newest book, Three Sisters, was such a delight. And what I appreciate about Heather Morris is that she takes, it's fiction, but they're always based on true stories, and I think they're all set during World War II. And Three Sisters is following 3 sisters who made a promise to their father that they would do everything they could to stay together, and I think they all end up in Auschwitz and are really working to keep that promise. So I haven't read a World War II book in a minute, and I'm excited about it. And I love the end pages in here. I know so many readers in my real life who will probably love this, so I want to read it so I can pass it on to them. We can all talk about it because I have a good feeling about this one. Now, I don't know if any of you follow Reading Maria on Bookstagram. I think she has over 20,000 followers at this point, and she also has a booktube channel, so I'm going to leave those all below. But she works for Durham Press, and she reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in a copy of 7 Down by David Winton, and I said yes because this sounds incredible. It is being compared to Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, which is a book I love so much. I know it's not everybody's favorite Bachman, but I thought it was so fun. And this takes place in a hotel. Any book in a hotel, I'm instantly intrigued. And it follows 7 ordinary hotel employees, catering, reservations, management. 7 moles waiting for years for a single code word, a trigger that will send them into action in a violent event that will end their dull lives as they know them. So I don't think I've ever read anything quite like that. That sounds like it's going to be really interesting. I think it's 200 pages, so I can probably fly through this. So this one's high priority for me. I really want to let you all know my opinion on it. Then the last one from the publisher is the Book of Form and Longing by Ruth Ozeski. This is a gorgeous finished copy. This came from, who sent me this one? Random House Canada. And I was so excited to see this because I know A Tale for the Time Being by this author was so popular, and I always meant to read it. But that just tells me that the writing in here is going to be incredible. and it seems to be a really unique premise. It follows a boy whose father passes away. His mom is a hoarder, and all the objects in his mom's house begin talking to him, which is interesting. It says a sneaker, a broken Christmas tree, a piece of wilted lettuce. So everything is speaking to him, and he takes refuge in a library because all the objects there have good manners and they know to whisper. And he starts talking to a book that is telling him the story of his life. So I know that sounds a little out there, but I'm really curious to see where this one goes. Even though it is a big book, I don't mind reading big books near the end of the year because I'm past my reading goal for the year. So I hope to pick that one up really, really soon. I was so thankful when this showed up on my door. I really needed to pick me up that day. Oh, I also wanted to show you somebody I grew up with in my neighborhood. I don't know if you can hear my cat crying. She has the ball in her mouth. Whenever she has the ball, she cries like that for us to play with her. But I'm just gonna ignore her for now. And so somebody I grew up with in my neighborhood wrote a book, and it's called Uncommon Sense: An Autistic Journey. This is by Adam Rodero, and I just wanted to show this to you. I love when people I know pursue their passions, especially if it's in the arts like this. I think that's amazing. I read a few snippets of it already, and he's a really talented author, and I know this is a subject he's passionate about. So I just wanted to show that to you, and he signed it for me actually. He said, "Kristin, from one book lover to another, I tried my best to capture our neighborhood days. Let me know how I did." So I think that's really sweet. So those are it from the publishers. That one was from a friend. So now I'm going to get on to the ones that I bought or were gifted by my family but haven't read. So the first two were actually from my dad. He bought me a few gifts when my cat passed away, which I thought was so nice of him. So he got me Tuscan Daughter. This is signed by the author, and it's by Lisa Rochon, who I've never heard of. This is her debut, and I'm really intrigued by this one. I think much like Three Sisters, I know a lot of people in my life I can lend this to once I'm finished, and my dad's family is Italian, from Italy, so this is something he would gravitate towards for sure. It's set in 1500 Florence, and our main character is an artist, which he knows that I like, and I think Leonardo da Vinci is actually a character in here, so that's all I know. I'm really intrigued. I'm excited that he bought that for me, and it seems like a perfect winter read. I love historical fiction in the winter. Then the next one he got me is just the cutest thing. He watches my videos, and he got me The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. I haven't read the first one yet, A Deadly Education, but I've been wanting to. And he got this because he knows from my videos that I love dark academia, and he could just tell by the title and the cover that this is dark academia, and he was so right. And I thought that was the cutest thing. And this has one of the coolest maps I have ever seen. So honestly, I've heard so many people talk about the first book, but I've never really remember what it's about. I know it's set in a school and they're trained for something, but I'm intrigued by it. So I thought that was the cutest thing. I can't wait to read the first one and then pick up that one. Then the next one is another big book. It is Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr, and he wrote All the Light We Cannot See, which is one of the books that really got me back into reading way back in the day when it first came out. So I was excited to see that he had written something new, even though I know nothing about this one. It is huge. I think there's a lot going on in here. I actually have an ALC from Libro.fm, but somebody I know through the blogging world told me that it's probably better in print. So I got a physical copy so I can listen to it and read it at the same time, because she said there's a lot to take in here. I think there's science fiction a little bit in here. I know it starts set in Constantinople in 1439, so that is intriguing to me. I can't wait to dive in this. The chapters look short, so maybe I can get through it quicker than I think, but this is a chunky book, but I'm excited about it. Then the last one that I haven't read yet is My Heart is a Chainsaw, and I cannot believe I haven't read this yet. I love Stephen Graham Jones. The Only Good Indians is the book that made me realize I do appreciate horror, and this is a nod to the slasher film, which I do not watch. I can read horror, thrillers, mysteries all day long, cannot watch movies or TV shows, cannot do it. But I'm excited to dive into this. It's got that final girl trope, so if you like Final Girls by Riley Sager or the Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, you might want to check this one out. And I did read the first chapter for a chapter tag, and I really loved it. It was almost the book that I picked, and I really want to get into it on October, so I still have time, so maybe I will pick that one up next. And now to talk about the ones that I have read. Well, this one I'm in the middle of reading. I am on part 1. I just finished part 1 of The Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman. This is my favorite witchy series. I love this series so much. If you have not watched, at least watch the movie, Practical Magic. You have to. It's so fantastic. It's got Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock. It's such a classic Halloween movie. Watch it every year. This is the last book in the series and it makes me so sad. It's so bittersweet. And I'm also listening to the audiobook of Magic Lessons, the first book, at the same time. So it's interesting to see the parallels. The first book is how the curse on this family started, and this book is about how the curse is going to end, and it really just follows generations of Owen's women who have been cursed, and anytime they hear death beetle, they know that their true love's going to die, so they really find hard not to fall in love, but they inevitably do. And it's just so sweet. I love all the relationships between these women. Bawled my eyes out in the first part of this one because I'm so connected to these characters. Can't wait to see where it goes, but oh, if you've never read this series or watched the movie, you have to. I love it so, so much. Here's one that my mom purchased for me because she watched my most anticipated October releases, and this is the first book I talked about in it, but I had no idea I was going to love this as much as I do. Like, this might be in my top books of the year. It is The Lighthouse Witches by C.J. Cook. I think C.J. Cook wrote The Nesting, which was popular last year. Let me know if that's true. I think so. And the tagline says, 3 daughters, a secluded island, secrets unearthed. And if you like witches, atmospheric books, book sets on islands, changelings, great sisterhood, you need to pick this up. It follows 3 perspectives. We are following, the main perspective is a woman in 2021 whose younger sister went missing back in 1998, and then her sister is found, but she hasn't aged a day since 1988. So she's trying to figure out the mystery here. Is her sister a changeling? There's also a grimoire that is being read that talks about the curse on this island. It's just, there's so many layers. It's beautifully written. I adore this book. Then we have one that I read a couple months ago, and it seems to be getting mixed reviews, but it's All's Well by Mona Awad. I haven't read Bunny, so I don't have that to compare this to. So maybe that's why I enjoyed it more than some people, but I've never read Chronic Rep quite like this before. It is fantastically done. If you do suffer from chronic illness, I would probably skip this one. It might be triggering for you, or you could really relate to it. You could almost feel it. It was just so powerful. I'm thinking that Mona Awad must be speaking from experience in here because I can't imagine that she's not. And the Shakespearean elements were interesting. I was confused some of the time, but I thought it was really brilliantly done, well written. It was worth it. The main character is memorable for sure. She has some horrible things, but I was kind of rooting for her. It's such a complicated book, one that I probably have to reread in the future, but I appreciated it for what it was. And then no surprise here, Redemptor by Jordan Ofleco. I feel like this is my brand at this point, and I'm fine with it. Ray Bear, one of my favorite books of all time. Talk about it on this channel constantly. I force people to read this all the time. Love it. It's a duology, so this is the second book in the duology. And I didn't think it could be better than Ray Bear, but I think I liked it just as much, if not more. So if you don't know what Ray Bear is about, it follows Terry Sai, who is being raised by her mother in isolation, and her mother's telling her she's going to become part of the Emperor's council and then kill the Emperor. So that is what she thinks she's going to do. She becomes part of the Emperor's counselor, but it's more complicated because all the counselor members are connected through rays, which is a special bond, and this is the ultimate found family trope. So she's very conflicted. It is so powerful. I love this book so much. Terry Sai, one of my favorite characters. You have to read this book, but I've told you that 1,000 times. Now we're on to, I've got 3 classics here. This one is another one my dad bought me, and it is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because I think he knew I liked this as a kid. And these are the Indigo here in Canada editions, and I actually think they do such a great job because I know that these are not too expensive. So all the lines on here, and then under the dust jacket, it looks like this. So I don't actually have a copy of this, so this was it's so nice to have, and such like a flashback to my childhood. I read Frankenstein when I was in high school. I hated it. I talk about this quite a bit. I read it for a philosophy class, hated everything about the class, hated the book, but I always think maybe I would like it now. It's so many years later. I'm not reading it for a class. I just read Dracula and I loved it. So I just have a feeling I might appreciate Frankenstein more now as an adult. So I grabbed this copy because it wasn't too expensive and it's beautiful. This is a Penguin Horror edition. And actually, Guillermo del Toro does the introduction, so that'll be interesting. But look at this edition, and it's got the black sprayed edges. We don't get a lot of sprayed edges here in Canada, so I love when I find them. And this copy is just gorgeous, and the writing's quite big. So yeah, I might listen to this on audio and read along at the same time, because I have a feeling I will appreciate this more now. And speaking of Dracula, the last book that I have here is a Thomas Nelson Winter Season edition. They have tons of these. I'm going to do a collection of, like a video showing all the prettiest books in my collection, and every single one of these is on there. So I have I'm looking at them now, I have the winter, spring, and summer ones. I have them all, and this is the first of the 4 fall ones that I grabbed because I just read Dracula and I loved it. And look how stunning this is. It is just, I'll show you. Red underneath, and then it's laser cut. And they're about 10,000. I think these are numbered. Yeah, there are 10,000s of these that are printed, and this is copy 2,507. So I'm in love with these. They've got the red sprayed edges. I wonder if each one of them has a different sprayed edge color, probably. So that is gorgeous. Then I just have a couple puzzles for my dad that he also bought me, and I want to show them to you because I think I might do one of these today. This is, you can get these at Chapters Indigo here in Canada, and I love these. Every season they seem to put out new ones, and this one's their pumpkin patch, obviously for fall, and it's just 500 pieces. It's such good quality. They're fun to do, a good way to spend the afternoon. And then he got me this bookish one. He knows me well. Look at this. I just love this. It's 1,000 pieces, and I'm thinking I might start this today just for fun and see how far I can get, because it looks like such a cute little puzzle. And let me know if you collect puzzles and if you know of any good book related ones, because I want to start collecting them because I absolutely love this. And I can listen to an audiobook while I do it. It just sounds like a good time. So those are all the books that I have to show you today. Let's talk about them in the comments if you've read any of them, if they're on your TBR. If you're somebody who does puzzles, I'd love to know. Thanks so much for your time and for watching this video. I just really appreciate you guys so much.